Welcome to the Episode 3 summary of the Ulysses Unlocked podcast, where we analyze James Joyce's Ulysses one page at a time. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment to support us. And for a much deeper dive, find the Ulysses Unlocked podcast wherever you listen. Today, we're doing something that sounds almost impossible. We're going to unpack the universe of meaning hidden on just a single page of one of the most notoriously difficult books ever written.
So how much can really be going on in just a few paragraphs? Well, it turns out a whole lot. This isn't just text on a page, it's a battleground. You've got these biting insults flying back and forth, you've got deep philosophy, and you have the entire future of Irish art hanging in the balance. It's a duel of ideas, and it all goes down in just a few lines.
All right, so let's meet our combatants. In one corner, we have Stephen Dedalus. He's the serious, brooding artist, the deep thinker. And in the other corner, Buck Mulligan, a super charismatic but also deeply cynical medical student. And the setting for this showdown is the top of a Martello Tower, looking out over Dublin Bay. You can just feel the tension. And Mulligan, well, he's about to make the first move.
Now, what kicks this whole thing off seems, at first, like a pretty casual, almost friendly jab from Mulligan. But don't be fooled. This is a devastatingly precise opening attack, and it's layered with all these hidden meanings, designed to hit Stephen exactly where he's most vulnerable. And there it is. Mulligan flashes a mirror in Stephen's face, and, with a laugh, he delivers the line, "General paralysis of the insane." I mean, what a shocking thing to say to someone. But what does it even mean? Is this just a dark joke between students, or is there something way more sinister going on here? Okay, so here's the absolute genius of this insult. g.p.i. has this brilliant double meaning. On the one hand, it's the official clinical term for the final, fatal stage of syphilis, a truly horrific disease that ends in total madness. But it's also just dismissive slang that medical students like Mulligan would use for anyone they thought was a bit weird or eccentric. So Mulligan's insult is a masterstroke. It's a deadly serious accusation that he can instantly laugh off as just a joke. But Mulligan doesn't stop there. He's not done. He immediately escalates from a verbal attack to something much more physical, using one of the most intimate objects there is, Stephen's own reflection. He's literally forcing Stephen to confront not just the insult, but his own self-image.
"You dreadful bard." With this command, Mulligan shoves a mirror right in front of Stephen's face. He's not just calling him a bad poet. No, it's so much more personal. He's forcing him to look at his messy hair, his shabby appearance, and to face all of his deepest insecurities head-on.
And get this, the mirror itself is another weapon in this attack. It's not just any mirror. First off, it's cracked. It was also stolen from a poor female servant, a skivvy, and to add this extra layer of mockery, her name was Ursula, a saint who's famous for her virginity. You see, every single detail here is an instrument of humiliation.
Just when you think it couldn't get more brutal, Mulligan elevates his attack again. He moves from just personal insults into the world of high literature. He's not just making fun of how Stephen looks, he's comparing him to one of Shakespeare's most monstrous characters.
So Stephen's first thought is a humble line from the poet Robert Burns, this wish to just see himself the way other people do. But Mulligan immediately twists it, quoting Oscar Wilde instead. He frames Stephen as Caliban from Shakespeare's The Tempest, the savage, brutish, uncivilized creature filled with rage at his own monstrous reflection. He's basically asking, are you a real artist, Stephen, or are you just some kind of beast?
And this is the absolute core of the attack. Is Stephen's artistic intensity just a bit of eccentricity, like the slang version of g.p.i. suggests? Or is there a real madness to him, a monstrous quality, like Caliban, or like someone who is actually suffering from the real disease version of g.p.i.? This is the crisis that Mulligan has so brilliantly engineered.
So, Stephen has just absorbed every single one of these insults about his sanity, his appearance, his art. You'd think he'd break, but instead of crumbling, he does something absolutely extraordinary. He takes the very object of his humiliation, that cracked mirror, and he turns it into a profound artistic statement.
After this moment of just bitter reflection, Stephen points right back at Mulligan and gets ready to deliver his counterattack. And folks, it's one of the most famous lines in all of modern literature, a perfect parry that turns this entire duel on its head.
And that right there is Stephen's genius in a nutshell.
He takes Mulligan's cheap personal insult and elevates it into this powerful metaphor for the entire state of Irish culture under British colonial rule. He accepts the brokenness, but he redefines it as a national condition.
So what does this actually mean? Well, it's an incredibly dense statement. First, it suggests that maybe all art is just a flawed, cracked reflection of reality. Second, it's saying that Irish artists, living under colonial rule, are like servants. They're using second-hand, broken tools, and they're unable to create a true whole image of their own people. And finally, it's a direct callback to Oscar Wilde's own theories on art, turning Mulligan's literary weapon right back on him.
So, Mulligan's been checkmated, right? He knows he can't win with insults anymore, so what does he do? He completely changes his strategy. He tries to win Stephen over with flattery and charm, dropping all the hostility and proposing that they join forces. He suggests that they should Hellenize Ireland. Now, what's that about? This term comes from a writer named Matthew Arnold, who contrasted Hellenism, the ancient Greek pursuit of intellectual beauty and truth, with Hebraism, which was all about strict moral and religious duty. So Mulligan is basically saying, hey, let's you and I, the two greatest minds of our generation, let's go save Ireland from its stuffy, religious, small-minded ways. And with that, he links his arm in Stephen's, trying to forge this grand alliance. It really seems like a moment of reconciliation, you know? A truce after their vicious duel of wits. But is it genuine? Well, Stephen's inner thoughts tell a very, very different story. And this is Stephen's final chilling thought on the whole exchange. A lancet is a surgeon's scalpel. He sees Mulligan's wit not just as a medical student's tool, but as a sharp weapon. Just like his own art, his cold steel pen is a weapon. He recognizes this isn't a friendship. It's a standoff between two powerful rivals, and each one of them fears the other's power to cut right to the bone. The duel isn't over. It is only just begun. So what does this rivalry really say about art and about betrayal in a colonized nation? That's a question Joyce leaves us to wrestle with. For a much deeper look, make sure you listen to the full Ulysses Unlocked podcast.